and this faith journey has produced is peace and joy. And so, God, we enter your gates today with thanksgiving. We are thanking you that we are growing up in faith. We are thanking you that we are becoming and beholding and becoming change for the time we have spent in your presence.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. A beautiful good afternoon to you. How are you doing today, beautiful people? How are you doing? Like, what's going on? We are almost, ladies and gentlemen, almost halfway through the last month of 2024. My sister sent me a meme about this lady talking about this is the yearest year to have ever yeared. Like she's like it flew by and she doesn't know what happened. She feels like it was January, February, March, and then she don't know what happened. Next thing she know, it's like Thanksgiving, and now they telling her Christmas is in 2 weeks, and she's like, "Look, I ain't had no time. I ain't got you nothing for Christmas." So how are you doing? Like, what is happening for you? Like, are you able, right? Are you able to like comprehend that like we blinked? Like this is literally what's that? The Thanos snap. You snap your fingers and it's not been 5 years, but hey, let me correct that because for some of y'all, these last couple months have felt like 5 years. So that's a thing. And I know for my family, it wasn't even a bad 5 years. We just did so much in the last couple of months. They're like, whew, my tired is tired. So how are you doing, guys? Tell me. My light fell over to the channel. Hi, y'all. We are having technical difficulties. If you can tell, I am presently live from my cell phone because literally, guys, the laptop, it's on, it's working, and it lost camera and mic access. And I have tried all the things, and it is not working. So this will be probably a relatively quick live. If you are joining me or rejoining me, if somehow you persevered, I'm gonna have to go and really edit this video on YouTube because, like, for a solid 10 minutes, all you got was a blank screen, right? Who knows what you saw because it had lost camera and mic access. I restarted, I did all the things, and nothing's working. But I have and our title today is a transition mindset. And I'm gonna talk to you about it real quick and then get out of your way and tell you how my transition mindset contributed to me coming and doing all the things and then being like, all right, we're gonna just work with the phone today. So here's what a transition mindset is. It's it's when you have already made up your mind that despite the challenges, you're moving forward. And so, in doing that, you spend a lot of time learning, you spend a lot of time processing, you spend a lot of time reviewing information, you spend a lot of time changing the way you think about things. It's a lot of adjustment, but it starts with a made up mind. So, like today, made up my mind. I was sure, and I made up my mind at this point, like 4 years ago, that I am going to go do what God told me and go live every Wednesday. And at the time, it was Friday. And who knows, Friday may come back, right? Because Friday could come back. Um, and I'll tell you about how Fridays are probably coming back, but it's not a right now problem. But what I'm telling you is, I made up my mind to be obedient a while ago. So it doesn't matter the obstacles. It doesn't matter if the stream isn't perfect. It doesn't matter if my internet is acting crazy. It doesn't matter if my computer magically lost my browser magically in the middle of me being live and using said camera and microphone, if it just magically decided that it's not going to work. What I'm going to do is keep pushing. And some of us, we don't transition because we quit before we get to the end. And if you quit before you get to the end, you'll never get to the end because the end is just that. It's when you have completed. And God promised us that and this, I don't know the Bible verse, and unfortunately, I can use my other phone. But the Bible says, he who began a good work is faithful to complete it. So it's not that God wouldn't be with you through all the ups and downs, the rights, the lefts. It's that you stop depending on God, you stopped, period. I talked to a friend of mine, and I think this begs repeating because it's probably been a little while since I said it. But what God showed me is a couple of verses that he combined in a way that I thought was so beautiful. And it was, I'll give you the conclusion and then tell you how I got there. But you know how we trying to figure out which way to go? And what does God want me to do? Well, the lights are motion censored on your path. And I came to that conclusion because, first and foremost, the Bible says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will do what? Make your path straight. So he's going to make it straight. He's going to make it plain. It's going to go. And for you to get this, you have to trust God, lean not to your own understanding, acknowledge him, and keep it going. Then he gives us this other verse that it says, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light onto my path. And it's the same path. So that means you are reading the Bible, you are trusting in the things that the Bible says, you are acknowledging that God's ways are not your ways, his ways are higher than your ways. And then you're moving forward, right? Why do we move forward? Because the Bible says faith without works is dead. So if you believe that God told you this and you are trusting in his path and in his purpose and in what he has revealed to you, and you are still standing still, you'll never know if this is the way because you've never taken a step.
So you put all of those beautiful things together, and what we get is a reality that tells us that those lights for the path that you think you should be on, they're motion censored. If you never take a step, you'll never know if this was the right step. And so as you walk, as you journey with Jesus, the lights light up at the pace you're moving. They ain't gonna light up. So you aren't gonna see the path ahead 5 miles, right? You're not gonna see the path 5 miles ahead. You're gonna see the path in front of you. And it's gonna be enough light for the step you're on. Why? Because it's about faith. If you could see, how far ahead you had to go, you probably wouldn't go where you needed to. Or you would probably rush ahead and skip steps. Or if you're like me, you would focus so far ahead that you're not paying attention to what's in front of you, and you trip and fall over things that you could have prevented, that you could have avoided, because you were so focused on how far ahead the path was lit. So in his infinite wisdom, God only gives us enough light for the current area and the current place and space and position we are on the path. And I'm telling you this because then when you hold it in your mind that wherever this path leads, this is where I'm going. It doesn't matter the things, the obstacles, the unexpected turns that you or life, the curveballs that life throws. Those things don't matter because you are continuing on a path, because you've already made up in your mind that the end is when you get there, and not right like, oh, I got 5 years to get there. There are things that if I had put a timeline on forgetting, I would have given up and forfeited those very blessings. Like I think about like the promise of a new home. Like in my head, guys, when he told us to sell the first house, that meant that the next one was coming. In my head, we were going from one to the other. If I had given up on the idea that God was going to keep his promise to us, then I don't know where we would be. Here's a couple of things I know. I probably wouldn't be before you right now, because that journey produced the person sitting in front of you. And then I probably and then it built my obedience. And so I wouldn't be sitting in front of you in the location that I'm talking to you from, because this location has direct correlation to, okay, I heard you and I trusted you for this last thing. So I think you're saying this. I'm going to put my faith in action and I'm going to do what I believe and watch you open the door. So a transition mindset is not one that is not aware of obstacles. It is not one that underplays the strength, the courage. It doesn't underplay the requirements of the journey. It just decides that God is with me and he will supply what I need on this journey. And more than that, I'm not stopping until I finish. And so as we think about walking into 2025, right? Because guys, we just, it's the 11th. And I laugh when I said that, because what's 11? 11 is a transition number, right? And I've talked to you several times about 11 in the Bible being significant for transition. We see transition time and time again in the Bible under the number 11. So 11 is likened to transition. And so we are here at the 11th day on a Wednesday, and I'm talking about a transition mindset. And some of you are like, oh boy, you have no idea what God is about to do. And I'm telling you, you can make up your mind today that whatever it looks like, whatever the result, the end is, I'm going to make it to it. So whether or not it takes me 6 months or a year, I'm going to accomplish this goal. Whether it takes me, I planned for a year and it took me 2, I'm going to accomplish this goal. Again, a transition mindset has to do with a made up mind. And I've said it 15 different ways, because and I don't know how to necessarily say this. So I'm asking for some grace, but it feels like, and it appears, and when you study it, it looks like that generations coming after us, to a certain extent, they don't have the wherewithal to hold up under this. They're very like, if as soon as things don't go their way, they're spiraling. And that's because, like, the millennials, and like, we is that what I am I Gen Z? No, Gen Z is raising millennials, I think, someplace in there. But when you think about that, there are a group of kids who, in our lifetime, we've seen everything from 8 tracks to Hulu, you know like, think about that. So we have literally, in our one generation, watch transition after transition after transition. And so, to a certain extent, we were graced for transition because of the amount of them we've gone through. But because we went through so many ups and downs and so many transitions, it's almost like we insulated our kids from those difficulties, which is not a bad thing to insulate your kids. But even as you insulate them, you actually have to prepare them for the real world. And so, like, and then we gave them so much avoidant tactics, like, so they they're I'm struggling not to climb on a soapbox, guys. That's what it is. But I'm refusing in this moment. But we've given them avoidance tactics. In some cases, you may have robbed them of actual physical development by the way and the things that you read them. They're entitled. Like, there are so many things, and it's not all bad. But there is there it's not more bad than good either, but there's enough bad that it's cautionary, because we see them where they literally just can't handle nothing. You say no, and I'm not talking about children. I'm not talking about babies and toddlers. Like, they literally don't have the capacity to handle the size of their emotions. I'm talking about children 18 to even 25. And yes, I consider 25-year-olds children, and not little children, but they are older children. Why do I consider them 25? And I'll say this and then I'll step off. I will move on with the topic. But it says that executive reasoning and the frontal lobe is not solidified until, on average, age 25. Why is that important? Because that is the area of your mind that allows you to make choices and think critically. And so, if you're telling me that, and it's not that you can't make choices at all, but it's that you aren't fully developed physically and processing at a rate of speed that allows you to make the best possible choice. So if you are literally not developed enough to make the best possible choice because of actual physical development, then I'm not going to consider you an adult. I'm just sorry, because you're not ready. And case in point, we watch 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 21-year-olds do foolishness. And sometimes you're like, so what were you thinking? And then they give you the blank stare because they weren't. And then the education system has failed them in that it didn't teach them critical thinking. We are not introducing critical thinking until, for many, the second or third year of college. So they don't have no idea how to do this as a skill that was built over time, and then which can kind of fill in the gap for physiological differences, right? So let's say, because the other thing, is the rule of averages, is that for some it'll happen early, and for others it will happen later. That means there is possibly a 27-year-old whose frontal lobe is still not fully developed. And you're like, why? I don't understand why, when I explain this to you or why I show you this, you don't get it. Anyway. So having said all of that, I am just saying that there is a mindset that is required to transition well. And it requires this fortitude, this stick to itiveness, I'm going to call it, of making a decision and holding on to that decision despite all the obstacles, which is how, despite all the craziness that happened, I'm still here and I've been live for, it says 26 minutes when I've only really been talking to you for 15, because 10 of those minutes, my computer imploded. Having said all of that, I am going to go ahead and get out of your way. I think what I'll do is I'll come back next week and we will go through a little bit more about a transition mindset, because I was only able to talk about the idea of one of the keys. The first key of a transition mindset is a made up mind. You are not focused on the goal, but you have decided to accomplish the goal, and you have accepted that there may be obstacles, there may be delays. However, you are accepting of those things and focused on completing the journey despite those things. That's the first and most important thing that we are going to talk about today. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I want to thank you for the ones who persevered through the 10 minutes and came back around. I want to thank you if you're watching this on the replay and so you're getting the edited video. I want to thank you for supporting Midday Manna all these months, all these weeks, all these years, right? Because Midday Manna is not right now. It's been happening for 4 years now. We're moving into our 5th year, and I'm super excited about what God is going to do in year 5. So I just want to thank you and wish you like happy holidays. Of course, I believe with certainty that I will be live next week because we have a date to finish this talk about transition mindset. But after that, I can't promise you that you'll see me again until, honestly, maybe February. So with that, I just want to wish you a happy holidays. Say God bless you, and pray that the latter half of your day and your year, because we are at the end, guys, is better than the beginning. All right now, bye-bye.
What our trust and this faith journey has produced is peace and joy. And so, God, we enter your gates today with thanksgiving. We are thanking you that we are growing up in faith. We are thanking you that we are becoming and beholding and becoming change for the time we have spent in your presence.